Came up hungry trying to grab what we can. Me and my brothers dodging Nino vans like Bun Babylon Don, we see your plan. Got a mind how I talk, cause I think like Guy Fawkes. Torch Parliament because they play us like sport. Blood red light, raw skin black light, tar. Green for the herb, someone pass a lighter. When I rap black power, them man think I'm seen out. They don't understand that I'm working with my pineal. I ain't like these youths, I don't do dance moves. Ancestors got my back, brother, I can't lose. On job, day and night, brother, I can't snooze. Rosa Parks told us stay strong, don't move. Right like Mama Maya, live like Dr. Sebi. Dash away the fast food and go on back of grassroots. Martin had a dream, Malcolm said by any means. When he said blood, I got run until they let Mandela free. Garvey lives, Garvey lives. Garvey lives, teach Garvey to the kids. Bun the FBI, bun the CIA, bun MI5 and bun the KKK. Yo, don't stress, Rome soon catch fire. No new world, it's our world. Columbus was a liar. Bun the FBI, bun the CIA, bun MI5.
Welcome to the broadcast. This is Richard Cunningham, and thank you so much to all our viewers that are watching in, and thank you for everybody joining in. Please share the link. Today is Sickle Cell Awareness Day. Now, I did not know that such a day exists. I must be honest with you, but also, to be honest, what is really sickle cell? If someone asks you, what is sickle cell? What do a sickle cell sufferer go through? How do I help a sickle cell sufferer? What challenges do they go through? And I think some of these are life-threatening questions that we need to educate ourselves. Because once we educate ourselves, then we know how we can help them. We can help the individual, we can help the family of these sickle cell sufferers. I'm privileged to have such an organization right in our midst today on the live broadcast. There's a charity in the UK, Sickle Cell Care, Advocacy, Unity, Support with Empathy. Their group, also known as the Sickle Cell Cause. And I'm honored to have the founder of this great organization, Samantha Greaves, who is the founder and the president, but also she has not come alone. She has come with the patient liaison consultant, Duchess K. Williams Alonga. I'm privileged to have them on the show. Welcome, both of you.
Yep. Thank you.
Fantastic. Please, Samantha, say hello to the viewers and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Samantha Greaves. Yes. It is an honor to have the platform for sickle cell awareness. This is a date that we honor every year for the last 11 years. But a bit about myself, as I said, my name is Samantha Greaves. I'm a grandmother, a mother, a volunteer, a community volunteer, and I'm a sickle cell warrior. I prefer the term warrior opposed to patient, sufferer, or even survivor. And I was diagnosed with having sickle cell, at age 4, and I was ungraciously informed of my mortality date at that time. They wasn't speaking to me; they were speaking over me, and it was said that I would live to 14 to 21 years at most. So as well as I'm living with daily pain and growing up with a multitude of symptoms, I've always had to also live with an underlying trauma that each night could be my last, and that's something that I realized is very common amongst sickle cell warriors of my age. We was all given a mortality date or a sell-by date, if you will. I'm also a community volunteer, and I'm currently writing my book, the story of my life, because that's been asked of me. And I am part of the Gift Genius African Heritage Wealth Empowerment Program, and that's where we assist people to create real wealth within our communities as far afield as Africa, and I work closely on the ground with people in the Gambia. And I'm also the founder and also the current group coordinator of the Sickle Cell Care Advocacy Unity Support with Empathy Group, otherwise known as SC Cause or the Sickle Cell Cause. And we can be found on all the social media platforms, and you can email us at sicklecellcause@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Wow, we have a lot of information about you. So, I mean, the program, we're here to create that awareness. Today is a learning process. Now, also on the other line, we have the patient liaison consultant, Duchess K. Williams Alonga. Please say hello to the viewers, and also just say a little bit more about yourself, please.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity, Richard. It really is a privilege and an honor to be here on this particular platform with my dear sister, Samantha, who I've known for more than 2.5 decades, really, and watched her, with this condition. What can I say about me? Oh my God, I wear so many hats, and most people who know me, they know that I always say that my life is dedicated to charity. Charity is actually my life, because following the birth of my first son, I took a well-earned break from the fashion industry. I came to the UK. I'm originally from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and I came to the UK to study, to pursue my career in the fashion industry. And so, I've had my time in fashion, particularly 2 stores in the West End. And although I continue to do fashion on a smaller scale, I've thrown my life into a lot of charitable work and do a lot of work on a community-based level. So I got involved. I live in the London Borough of Camden in the Highgate Ward, and I got involved with local parent groups in the beginning. Became a consultant for families representing, their needs, the needs of children from 0 to 19, up to 25 years, for those with disabilities. And so for more than 25 years, I have a wealth of experience working with diverse communities at a national level and an international level. Okay, I've worked alongside professionals in the Commonwealth Countries League. I am actually an executive committee member. I've been supporting the Commonwealth Countries League for 3 decades now. And I have a host of other charities that I support. I am also president of the Bahama Host Association. I was appointed in 2012 to work with the Bahamian diaspora across the UK and Europe. So I facilitate a broad range of activities and events for the Bahamian diaspora and Friends of the Bahamas. I also organize hurricane relief fundraising efforts. For the last 2 hurricanes we've had was Hurricane Matthew in 2016 and 2019, the recent one that practically devastated the northeastern part of my country. And those funds were to generate and send back home to support another organization I'm supporting, which is the Bahamas Sport Fishing and Conservation Association, and I'm a founding member of the Bahamas Natural Resources Foundation back home, which is there to help Bahamians learn about what we have. We're not just about sunshine and sea or the swimming pigs. Everywhere you go, you have pictures of the swimming pigs promoting our country. But COVID-19 has taught us that we have to diversify. We have to not just focus on tourism. But there are so many. There are other charities. I'm also a Rotarian. I could go on and on. Staunch Rotarian.
Wow.
Recently, and I support the Sudan Women's Association. I'm also recently a trustee of Pinu Charity, which is a charity launched in 2016, which aims at promoting the good health and well-being of the elderly in the UK and abroad. And as you know, I'm here on a platform with the Sickle Cell and Sickle Cell Cause advocacy group, which I'll talk more about, after Sam does the presentation. But I'm more than always happy to support wherever I can. So it's a pleasure to be here and to raise the awareness. And as I said, as I move further in life and on different platforms, I'm there to promote all the charities that I support and take them with me. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. As you have said, you have got a lot of hats, and I can see you're really a busy woman, and you know you have really helping the community, not just here but also back home. Now, if I can go to the founder, Samantha. Samantha, we are here to raise awareness for sickle cell. Now, we are here to learn what sickle cell is. In a nutshell, can you just tell us what, in a simple terms, what is sickle cell?
Okay, I do have a presentation on my device. Would you like me to go through a presentation, or would you just like me?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, let me Okay, so a bit about sickle cell. Well, what I can do is condense the question that you've asked and answer it in, you know, and so basically I can answer what is sickle cell, who is sickle cell cause, and basically what do we do, you know, and I can do this in this presentation, which will take me about 8 minutes or so.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the presentation that we use when we go to places of faith, schools, doctor's surgeries. This is our awareness program, you know, in basic forms. I've taken a lot of slides out, but just so to keep it, you know, real. So the first thing that we always do when we go into our community is ask our community, what is it that you can do to help your sickle cell community? And the first thing we say to you is, please give blood, please donate blood. You know, sadly, the African Caribbean BAME community are the smallest blood donors, you know, the smallest group of blood donors. And with sickle cell, the majority of people that have sickle cell are of African descent, you know, which means that they have to do a lot of cross-matching, you know, which, you know, can cause many problems. And there is a shortage of, you know, blood from Black donors, you know. So to avoid problems, you know, to make things a lot easier, you know, save time and money, you know, we do need Black blood donors. So I always say to people, if you was to get licked down tomorrow and you needed a blood transfusion and you would take a blood transfusion, if you've got no problem with taking blood, please donate blood. You know, it doesn't affect you giving blood. You may feel a bit tired for about an hour, but they do give you a cup of tea and some biscuits, you know, to bring up your sugar level, you know, so you're not affected. And some people give blood like every month, you know. So please, you know, think about donating blood, you know. And the telephone number, you know, for the National Blood Donor Bank is 0300 123 2323. The next thing you should do is everybody should be tested to find out if they carry the sickle cell gene. We've done a lot of campaigning for this in the 1980s, you know, and every child born should be tested for sickle cell. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We had a few challenges with, you know, with people that weren't Black not being tested, and sickle cell is not only in the Black community. And also there was the issue of, if you didn't have an African name, you know, a clear African name, you know, you may not get tested, you know, because they weren't seeing the actual patient, they were looking at names, you know. So with me with an English name, Greaves, you know, I wouldn't have gotten tested, you know. Whereas you, Carol, with a surname Alonga, you would more likely have been tested, you know. So this needs to change. We need everybody to be tested. Right, because a lot of people are walking around with sickle cell trait or with sickle cell and don't actually know they've got it until it's too late. And you know, knowledge is power.
That's right.
You know, so to get tested, call the George Marsh Sickle Cell Centre. It's based in Tottenham, but they will direct you to who you should go to in your community. You know, it's a simple blood test, and the telephone number for the George Marsh Centre is 0208 702 6630. The information is there. We always need volunteers, able-bodied volunteers, as well as sickle cell warriors. You know, sickle cell warriors can speak passionately, you know, with and you know, from the heart as to what sickle cell is, and supporters, basically with their empathy and their support, we can get things done. You know, because having the sickle cell condition, things that, you know, doesn't run seamlessly, because one day you're well, one day you're not. So a lot of things don't get done. So we need a lot of able-bodied people as well as sickle cell warriors. So please come together, you know, volunteer a couple of hours a week or a month, as much time or as little as you can give. We'll be very appreciative. So just email sicklecellcause@gmail.com. Also participate on our annual Community Miles for Sickle Cell sponsored walk. This is the bulk of where we get our money from. We're not government funded, and we don't receive any funding from any organization. We are grassroots community group, and we are funded by our community, and every year we go out into our community and, do a sponsored walk. We have great numbers. Our community expects us. And every year when we go out to do our walk, there's still people that have not heard of sickle cell. So it's important to keep the awareness going. And that's where we raise our funds, because people on the walk, they get sponsored from their, friends and family, and they donate that money. And that helps us to keep our services, going. Because, and the reason why we don't take funding or haven't had funding, government funding or community funding, is because we are a care and advocacy group, and we're very strong on our advocacy, and we know that money is what controls, and we can't be controlled. We are a group set up by sickle cell warriors, and we will speak for the sickle cell warriors, and we can't be gagged. So by taking people's money, that will mean sometimes that we can't speak on issues, that we want to, so we take no money. Our community supports us, and that's how it is. Our sponsored walk is on the 12th of September 2020 this year. We may not be able to have it because of the social distancing, but we still ask people to keep the date clear in your diary, because we will be doing something else, even if it's something online, so just keep the date clear, to support us. And you can also donate directly into our bank account, where we're Barclays, under Healthy Living International, and our sort code is 204657, account number 0348 4114. I'll just say that again so people got a chance to get their camera out and take a photograph of it. 204657 0348 4114. Okay, so what is sickle cell? Well, basically, before I go into what is sickle cell, let me give you a bit of history about sickle cell in the UK, sickle cell support in UK and Europe. Right now, it all started in 1974 and officially in 1975, when sickle cell patient Neville Clare founded the Organization of Sickle Cell Anemia Research, otherwise known as OSCAR. It was the first ever support and research organization in Europe, and it was operational from rented offices in Wood Green. In 1985, nurse Susan Treasure, who was a sickle cell specialist nurse, joined up with patient Neville, to create a more community-based support group, and we call that Haringey Sickle Cell Support Group, and it was operational immediately from the George Marsh Centre, and Susan Treasure, nurse Susan Treasure, she was a very favourite nurse, and she later founded the Enfield Sickle Cell Support Group in 2009. In 85 also, Dr. George Marsh, who was the senior haematologist for most of the sickle cell patients in the community, promised and campaigned and fundraised for a purpose-built hub for sickle cell and thalassemia patients to be used as a drop-in centre for purposes of recreation, resources, and public information. And this came about because whilst we was waiting outside the rented offices one day, it was raining. There was a group of us as sickle cell patients. We was waiting for the person that had the keys, and it was raining, and Dr. George Marsh happened to be driving past in his car and saw a group of his sickle cell patients out in the rain, and he wondered, what are my patients doing outside in the rain? What's going on here? So we explained to him that we was waiting for the keys because we was gonna have a meeting, a community meeting, and we told him what it was about. He even joined us on that meeting when the keys came, and he was so blown away with what was being done and what the sickle cell community was doing for themselves, because nothing was being done, outside of our community for sickle cell patients, that he felt strongly that we needed a hub, a place, for everything sickle cell related to be, under one roof. So he campaigned strongly, got the government involved, the community involved. We fundraised, and the final, finally we had the center opened, and the center was opened in. Sorry, first of all, yeah, he campaigned in '85, but sadly in 1987 he passed away whilst the center was being built. The center was completed in 1988 and officially opened in 1989. So sadly, Dr. George Marsh didn't see the center completed. But the center was officially opened and named in his honor, and that's the reason why the center is called the George Marsh Sickle Cell and Thalassemia Center. We remember that he was a hematologist, the senior hematologist in charge of sickle cell and thalassemia patients, and that's the purpose of the reason why the center was actually built. His widow was the person that opened, unveiled the plaque. So that all that proves the reason why the George Marsh Center was created and why it stands in the grounds of St. Anne's Hospital. So here we have Neville Clare. He was the first person to create sickle cell support in the UK and Europe. He was a sickle cell patient. He created the Organization of Sickle Cell Anemia Research, otherwise known as OSCAR. This is Dr. George Marsh. He was my senior physician before he sadly passed away. And this was our favorite nurse, senior nurse Susan Treasure. She was a sickle cell specialist nurse, and sadly she's all passed away. So everybody here has passed away, in recent times, and they were the pioneers of sickle cell support in UK and Europe. Right, so moving on, what is sickle cell?
That's
well,
right.
Sickle cell, sorry,
Go on.
Am I going too fast?
No, you're not. You're doing absolutely fine. In fact, you're covering the entire section, the most important thing about sickle cell. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Right, so the question is, a lot of people need to know, what is sickle cell? Well, sickle cell is an anemia. Now, anemia is a condition where there's a deficiency of red blood cells or hemoglobin in the blood. And there are over 400 recorded types of anemias out there. The most common types of anemias are like iron deficiency anemia, leukemia, thalassemia, hypoglycemia. Then there's general anemia, and the fastest growing worldwide is sickle cell anemia. Now, sickle cell anemia is a very serious inherited blood disorder, and there are over 100 different types of sickle cell anemias out there, with 6 in number being amongst the most common. Now, the 6 most common are hemoglobin SS disease, hemoglobin SC disease, hemoglobin SB+, beta thalassemia, beta zero thalassemia, hemoglobin D Punjab. Now, some people may have like hemoglobin SC disease and like beta thalassemia, as in the case of myself. So it's very complex. It's like sickle cell is not a one-size-fits-all type of condition. If somebody says they've got sickle cell and I say I've got sickle cell, it doesn't mean we have exactly the same symptoms. So it's a very complex condition. And the reason why I've got the 2 top ones in red is because hemoglobin SS disease and hemoglobin SC disease are the conditions that most prevalent in the African, heritage, people of African descent, African and African diasporans. Okay, so the issue is that the red blood cells which carry oxygen around the body develop abnormally, causing the extreme deprivation of iron fluoride, which can cause over 20 other diseases and conditions to manifest. Now, what this means is like somebody with sickle cell, you don't just have sickle cell, you have other conditions. Sickle cell doesn't come by itself. It comes with other issues, which I will go into, So the sickle cell anemia mainly affects people of African, Caribbean, Middle Eastern, Eastern Mediterranean and Asian origin. And these are the places that you'll find them more prevalent. Right, so as I said, so in these, the strains of SS and SC disease are mainly in these red countries here. Okay, moving on. Right, so to have the full-blown sickle cell anemia, you would have inherited the defective gene from both parents. If you only inherit the gene from one parent, you have what's known as sickle cell trait, which means you carry. It's likely that you will contain some sickle cells, your blood will contain some sickle cells, but you'll be able to produce normal cells as well, and you won't usually experience severe symptoms. However, you are a carrier of the sickle cell anemia, and you may pass the abnormal gene on to your children. If both parents have sickle cell trait, if both parents are carriers, in every pregnancy that they have, there is a 1 in 4 chance that their child will be born with full-blown sickle cell anemia. So those are the percentages, and that's in each pregnancy.
Gotcha.
All right. Okay, some UK statistics. Official UK statistics state that there are 250,000 people are thought to have the sickle cell trait in the UK, and the official number of sickle cell warriors is 15,000, although it's believed by health officials that the number is more likely to be at least 30,000, you know, and is consistently growing. We in the sickle cell community believe the numbers to be far greater than that, but we don't have access to the database, and this is something that we are working on, you know, having like numbers correctly recorded, you know. And that's something that our group does. Right now, normal red blood cells are flexible and disc-shaped, you know, like this round donut here, this donut shape here. But in the case of sickle cell anemia, they become abnormally rigid and shaped like a crescent moon or sickle, which is a farm tool, a sickle. That's where we get the name from, sickle cell. Now, the lifespan of a normal blood cell, the everyday person, is on average 120 days, you know. However, the abnormal sickle cells that have a much shorter lifespan, and they aren't replaced as quickly as normal blood cells. So on average, the sickle cell will live for only 20 days, which is a difference of 100 days between a normal blood cell and a sickle-shaped blood cell. So sickle cells are devoid of oxygen and unable to move as easily around the blood vessels, which can cause, you know, untold damage to the cells, you know, and will block, you know, the blood vessels, causing pain, you know. So resulting with like tissue damage, organ damage, daily pain, lethargy, and episodes of extreme severe pain known as a sickle cell crisis. So people are, a person with sickle cell has pain every day. It just depends on the degree of pain as to how they manage that pain. Okay, so some daily symptoms are severe joint pains, headaches, complete lethargy or lack of energy, an unquenchable thirst, breathlessness, consistently cold, and anxiety attacks, you know. And a sickle cell crisis can last from anything from a few minutes to several months, although on average, most last around 5 to 14 days. As well as those daily symptoms I mentioned, the average adult sickle cell patients live with full body pain, eating disorders, drug dependency, trauma anxiety, memory failure, tooth and hair loss, swollen joints, migraine, hearing and vision impairment and loss, depression, regular bouts of life-threatening sickle cell crisis, and has a morbid fear of impending death. Right? These symptoms, you know, manifest themselves into like a weakened immune system, iron overload, jaundice, gallstones, chest infections and breathing difficulties, strokes, especially in the children, swollen and removal of the spleen, reduced bone density, leg and stomach ulcers, epistaxis, which is sudden nosebleeds that, you know, can't stop for a long time, blindness, priapism, which is when the penis becomes lumpy and swollen and lumpy and won't go down, and this can cause impotency. Also pneumonia, organ failure, slow and even sudden death. Some of these ailments are contributed by the prescribed medications that we are given. All right. So in the UK, most patients are relying on the NHS for their, you know, for their conventional medications, you know. And everybody's on antibiotics. We're prescribed antibiotics daily, which is normally penicillin, unless you're allergic to penicillin, and then they'll give you a substitute like erythromycin or something else. But the antibiotics are to help with infection. You're given daily pain relieving medications, and these are strong medications known as CDs or controlled drugs. And this controlled drugs business means that they have a street value. And with the person that prescribed, if they don't understand what sickle cell is and those symptoms I've just explained, when somebody comes in with a prescription for controlled drugs, which is like morphine or pethidine, very strong, which have a street value, and they look at the sickle cell patient, which is usually a black person, which could be a young man, an older man, a young woman, an older woman, they look at us with disbelief because sickle cell is an invisible illness, so you may look well and then you've got a prescription for strong medications that have a street value. They either don't want to give it to you, call the police, you have to prove who you are, so you have to take ID, passport or driving license. It's not a simple case of you getting your medications like anybody else would, right, because of the stigma of being black. Sorry to say it, I just speak, in fact, I'm not sorry, I'm just speaking as it is, that's what it is. So daily pain relieving medications, as I said, which is like morphine-based pethidine, things like that, diamorphine. Vaccinations to prevent infections, and these can be given monthly, annually, or whenever the patient requires, because as I said, sickle cell affects the person differently. Folic acid is prescribed daily to produce and strengthen red blood cells, and blood transfusions. Some people have them monthly, some people every 6 weeks, or some people whenever they go into crisis, that's when they need it, or like in case they need an exchange blood transfusion if their blood count comes too low to prevent sickle cell crisis. So those are some of the conventional treatments. And sickle cell can be triggered, a sickle cell attack or crisis can be triggered completely unexpectedly. You can be sitting down watching the television as calm as you like, and all of a sudden you fall into sickle cell crisis. However, it is also triggered by damp conditions, change in temperature, so it could be sudden changes of temperature from hot to cold, or even from cold to hot. Stress can trigger, sickle cell crisis, dehydration, infection and bruising. And there is no known cure across the board for sickle cell anemia. More treatments, you have bone marrow transplant, which is also, known as stem cell transplant. Excuse me, I just have a sip of water. Yeah, and this offers the only potential cure for sickle cell anemia. Oops. This treatment is reserved for extreme cases of children younger than 16 years of age. Over this age, there is a risk of death during operation, in the theatre, and on average, this increase of 75% over the age of 16. So they don't really offer it to anybody over 16. They only offer it into very severe, extreme cases of children younger than 16. Finding a donor is difficult. The procedure is painful and expensive. It costs on average £75,000 and has serious risks associated with it, including heightened death in adulthood. And this procedure is not available on the NHS. And then there's hydroxyurea. Now, hydroxyurea, when taken daily, hydroxyurea reduces the frequency of painful crisis and might reduce the need for blood transfusions and hospitalizations. However, hydroxyurea works by stimulating production of the fetal hemoglobin. That's the type of blood that's found in newborn babies that helps prevent the formation of sickle cells. However, the use of hydroxyurea releases similar effects to chemotherapy. In fact, it was used for cancer patients originally. There's no drugs that I'm personally aware of that started life for sickle cell patients. They're usually tested for other patients, and then they come down to sickle cell patients when it's found that it can be of some help to the sickle cell warrior in some way, so it has the same effects of chemotherapy, which increases the risk of infection, and there is some concern that long-term use of this drug may cause problems later on in life to people who take it for many years. So whilst people are taking it, more study is needed and also ongoing whilst in use.
That's a lot of information that we have received. And I told you, this is a learning, we're all learning here. And I trust the information that you have seen is earth-touching. You know, before I thought I knew about the sickle cell, but today I've got a lot of information. But what I want to do now is to bring in the liaison consultant officer, who is Duchess. Please, can you just tell us a little bit about your personal experience of the sickle cell, please?
Yes, of course, Richard. Thank you. Like I said, my personal experience probably dates back when I first met Sam.
Mm-hmm.
We met working for an organization that was selling health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And we just clicked right away. And because of my attachment to my paternal grandmother, I was always attracted to more towards the elderly. So when I met Samantha's mom, she automatically became my mom, and she saw me as her daughter. And her having the sickle cell gene and then passing it on to Samantha, I watched Samantha really struggle and suffer when we were working together. She was constantly in pain and restricted, really. It had an emotional effect on her. It had an emotional effect on the whole family. And for me, it was heartfelt, you know, and because I had that link to mom, who passed away in, I think it was 2015, which was very difficult. Mom and we shared a lot, you know, and I loved listening. She was a fantastic writer and a poet. And she, you know, went through a lot. There was she had a lot of emotional turmoil, even the way she felt how it was passed on to her children. And all of that affected me, you know, and throughout the years, I know when there was some point whereby we sort of lost touch with each other when I started a family, got married and all that stuff, but I kept in touch with mom. And, you know, when I linked up again with Samantha, she had already moved from North London and stuff like that. She invited me to the sickle cell meetings and the AGM and stuff like that, and a lot of the fundraising events. And I saw how hard they were struggling because, you know, when I initially met Sam, my background was just pure fashion. Although I was supporting one or two charities, I wasn't actively involved in any sort of fundraising or community work like that. You know, my life changed after I got married and had my kids and got involved. And so I managed to go back and study and gain a lot of valuable experience whereby I was able to help all these communities that I am so passionate about. You know, so when I went in and I saw the work that all of them, you know, they are warriors. You know, they are sufferers, or should I say survivors of this anemia. And to see all of the efforts and the work that they were putting in, I made it a priority to actually help. And I said to her, I will bring in my network of people. I will reach out, and whatever support you'll need, I will tap into. God has afforded me the opportunity to be in a position whereby I have a strong network of persons in different you know, walks of life who can actually help. You know, and I said to her, I promise you, I will get involved. And that's how it all started. So, you know, when I got involved and they, you know, put a lot of trust, which is such a, you know, it's a huge, words cannot express how touched I am for persons who, I mean, Samantha knows me. I'm a sister, you know, and, you know, her whole family, they know me. But for other persons from the sickle cell cause community to actually put that amount of faith and trust in me to actually help them and support their efforts, I'm humbled and really honored to support. And that's how I ended up getting in touch with you, Richard, because my dear sister, another phenomenal woman, Dr. Elizabeth Migus, you know, I met her, and like we say, it's only faith that brought us together. And I saw, because I'm now, like yourself, on the board of trustees for Pinot Charity that supports the elderly. The elderly is so dear to my heart, you know, and as an individual, I've always been reaching out in the community. I do so many intergenerational projects I'm involved with because they just hold a special place in my heart. And when I saw the presentation you kindly did for the Pinot Charity, I was really impressed, and I reached out to her. I said, Elizabeth, I said, you know, Sickle Cell Awareness Month is coming up, and I have another charity that really, really needs support. They're not a registered charity because they are the survivors themselves who are fighting to actually be heard, and they're fighting for basic stuff, you know, and it's really heartfelt because I'm like, they're fighting for something that should be free for all. You know, it should be free for all. They shouldn't have to be going through what they're going through.
That's right.
And at the same time, having to say, well, this is what's happening to me. Say to the medical professionals, we need this. And, you know, it's really hurting. And so Elizabeth said to me, she said, my dear sister, she said, I'm sure, she said, Richard would be more than happy to help. I will reach out to him. I will ask him to support, which she did. And so we're meeting virtually, and I appreciate your time and your support and your efforts for helping us to raise awareness during this Sickle Cell Month. I really appreciate the platform you have provided for us on behalf of my sister and the other members of the Sickle Cell course.
I must say I've been really touched by this information that you're giving, because before I thought with the little information that knowledge that I have, I thought I knew a lot about sickle cell, but really your explanation and what your organization do, I must say I'm really touched by, you know, this information. And from this day forward, I think my perception will change, and I will do my very best to always, you know, to support this great cause that you are doing. And it's a privilege actually to host both of you on this show, because what we're doing is trying to highlight and create awareness for the sickle cell. Everybody is busy in their lifestyle, everybody busy with their work schedule, but really there's a lot of families, there's a lot of individuals, there's a lot of people in the community that are facing these challenges. Yeah. And I think this is a great day to create that awareness, so that together we can stand for each other and fight this, you know, and bring support to everybody that needs these facilities. But what I wanted to explain, Samantha, is that, you know, can you tell a little bit more about your advocacy program, please?
Oh, okay, yeah, because we're very strong on advocacy, you know, fighting for our rights, you know, services that we fought for in the 80s and in the 90s, policies that were written that are being ignored, you know, and not adhered to, you know. So we've got 5 major advocacy campaigns going on currently. The first one is the Save the George Marsh Centre, you know, and people can sign a petition on basically it's on if you Google Save the George Marsh Centre, you know, on change.org. You can sign a petition online. And what this is that we are fighting for the centre that I spoke of earlier, that was purposely built and named after our physician, Dr. George Marsh. It was purposely built from the first brick up for the sickle cell and thalassemia community. And they've decided to take it away from us. It is the only centre in the UK purposely built for our community. When they remove it, there's no other centre for us, you know. And this is a lack of respect that I'm talking about. They don't believe that we are deserving of our own centre.
That's right.
So they removed us from it. So we are fighting for you know, 100% usage of our centre, our home, which was built for us. Then we have the halt to the MD and PhD egos. Now on this campaign, we're fighting to have the necessary policy written and adhered to, that all medical students that are in medical school be trained on sickle cell anemia before they qualify as medical professionals. And all current practicing medics at all levels, from every level and every vocation, receive sickle cell awareness training as a compulsory measure, you know. And that's what we're campaigning for to happen now, because there's too many deaths in the ambulance, in the home, in the hospital. Ignorance is not bliss when you have sickle cell anemia and you're faced with a physician that has no idea what sickle cell is and wants to argue with you, about what medications you should be having. The adult sickle cell patient is the expert in the room. They know what medications they've been using all their life. They shouldn't be needing to be battling, trainee doctors or new doctors or even old doctors because they don't have sickle cell awareness training. So that is what we're battling for. We're also battling to have the current staff policy of duty of care towards the sickle cell affected upon entering accident and emergency departments adhered to, with definite legal consequences whenever they're not addressed and they are ignored. Now, basically what that is, we fought in the and had the policy written in the early 2000s that when a sickle cell patient comes into A&E in full-blown crisis because time saved lives, they are seen immediately, given pain-killing, medications before anything else, But because a lot of staff, for whatever what reason, don't want to recognize sickle cell, they will leave the patient writhing, in pain, in A&E, in front of everybody. People be losing body functions, in front of everybody. It's embarrassing. Not only that, the pain, you've got their family screaming out for help and that, but because of the ignorance of staff, that don't want to believe or whatever, they want to think it's something else, like drunkenness or drug abuse, that they ignore the sickle cell patient, So we want legal consequences when we are ignored in this predicament, It's traumatic, Also, to have our specialist wards reinstated. We used to have sickle cell specialist wards where sickle cell patients and thalassemia patients were treated together with specialist staff. Now they dot us all over the hospitals amongst contagious people, knowing full well that sickle cell, you have a low immune system and you're susceptible to any illness that's going around. And now you have the COVID-19, it's like, we know they're trying to wipe us out, but we need to fight it anyway, so we need that, adhered to. And last and not least, we want on all death certificates, that sickle cell is recorded on death certificates, because what it is, they keep the numbers of, the reason why we don't have as much clout or recognition is because sickle deaths are not recorded as sickle deaths. Like, as I said earlier, you have many sickle cell, you come with different illnesses. Mm-hmm. So you might die, but you will die of stroke or pneumonia or, brain aneurysm. But all of these are caused by you having sickle cell. Mm-hmm. And without sickle cell being on that death certificate, sickle cell is not recognized. The numbers of sickle cell deaths is not recognized. So that's the reason why we don't have the services that we need, because it's not recognized as the life-taking, dangerous, painful condition that it is.
Wow.
Basically.
Wow. Yeah. That's now. I believe, Duchess, you want to come on. You want to add something on top of that as well.
Yes. Of course. You hear Samantha talk about, the experience and stuff like that, and it's sad to know that for decades the voices of the sickle cell cause warriors have been ignored. They've been ignored by healthcare professionals, ignored by the government. I attended the Mayor's Question Time recently with Samantha and some of the warriors. And again, it's like you're not given that platform, and after years, I must say, of the community campaign for the rights to access proper healthcare services and the exacerbating mammoth task of trying to regain full access to the George Mars Center, which was purposely built for this vulnerable community. It had to take COVID-19 pandemic, which afforded them the opportunity to finally be included on the government's shielding list for vulnerable individuals, which is absolutely shocking. But in God's own time, because we are delighted, and that's due to the hard work and the persistence of those patients, those persons who are affected by this anemia. We are delighted to finally have a seat at the table with the persons at the top making the decisions. You know, and in recent, I would say weeks actually, because it's during the pandemic that we have been invited by, you know, the North Middlesex University Hospital, the NHS Trust. Myself and two other persons will be acting as the advocates, the patient liaison consultants. We will now have the opportunity to be a part of the discussions pertaining to not excluding, you know, us regaining access to the George Mass Center, but also the opportunity to be consulting with this vulnerable community to ensure that their needs are being met and have those discussions around the table. So following a Zoom meeting, again, during the pandemic with a senior doctor and spokesperson for the NHS Trust, I understand that there are a number of measures that are being taken and a couple of things that they are embarking upon, such as there is a pilot scheme apparently to comply with the new NHS guidelines, the London Infection Prevention Guidelines it's called, which is giving more freedom and flexibility to patients with the social distancing. So we believe that, you know, the plan is to include a number of other NHS red cell services open to other patients with a wide range of blood-related conditions. Okay, and in addition to this, I think they are planning to establish what they call the green and blue pathways with the George Mass Center. You know, so the COVID-free pathway is going to be the green pathway, and the COVID managed pathway is going to be the blue pathway. And it is very important, as Samantha said, that, you know, they have a low immune system. When you are dealing with this particular anemia, one of the downside is that your immune system is very is compromised. So it's important to establish these pathways in order to ensure patient safety. So the provision of a green pathway will require the highest possible standard of infection prevention. They have to be disciplined. And of course, this will automatically impact the structure of staffing across the NHS with immediate effect, because as you know, the NHS had a high amount of what they call bank staff who would work today. They might be working in this particular area, and tomorrow they're working somewhere else. So their schedule is like, you know, day to day. So this means significant adaptation to how jobs are planned and managed and rotas are currently designed. It may be appropriate to develop green teams who work in green areas, like let's say for a week or a month rather than day to day. But overall, I can say I'm optimistic, and at least now we have a voice as part of the decision-making team. It was suggested because, like I said, I live in the London Borough of Camden, and I have been at the table with all of Camden's CCG procurement panels and having those discussions on behalf of residents. And I think it's important when you're at the top and you're making decisions on behalf of individuals who you're wanting to support and serve, you need to have engaged in dialogue. Dialogue is very important. Consultation is very important. So I must say, I'm delighted to be a part of the team to support however I can, based on my experience and the knowledge I have with dealing with the NHS and the CCG.
Wonderful. Now, both of you have mentioned something very key, and that's the injustice that's going on. And we have seen some of this prejudice happening with the George Floyd and a lot of other aspects that we, the Black people, are facing. But there are viewers watching right now. They have seen a lot of information that you have shared, which are, you know, that really heartfelt. But what can an individual, how can a society, someone is watching, what can they do to support this great cause and to fight for this advocate that you both are, you know, fighting for?
Well, I mean, I can start by saying, from Sam's presentation, it's like the best way to support them is to
Mhm.
donate their blood, because blood, within the Black and minority ethnic communities, we don't. It's very rare that you have persons from these communities donating blood. Okay, and so to start with, to give blood. And right now, I feel, like I said to Sam and the community, I think with everything that they're fighting for, and all of the efforts they're putting in, we need legal representation.
Mhm.
And I'm calling on my network of professionals, and seeing that we have this platform, I would like to reach out to anybody who's watching. If you have legal background and you would like to support this vulnerable community by volunteering some of your time, because if everybody give a little, the world definitely would be a better place. And they need a lot of support. There are very few persons like myself who, I'm not a carrier or a sufferer of this anemia, but I'm passionate about supporting, the vulnerable communities. That's it. That's inbred in me, and so if we have persons watching who have a particular skill in a particular area or training, and they want to give back or they feel the need to support, I would admonish them to please. The information will be up on the screen or whatever for them to reach out and contact the Sickle Cell Cause Advocacy Group and try and help as best we can, because they really need it. They really need the support. And only persons like, I thank you so much, Richard, for actually saying, after you've heard everything that we have discussed so far, you have a better understanding. See, a lot of the times people don't help because they don't know. And the best way to do that is to do outreach work, to use platforms like what you have here. And I give God thanks, and I thank you for actually committing yourself to supporting us how and whenever you can, from your capacity as a presenter and other things. And, just creating that platform. And if other persons would come forth, I think we can relieve them of a lot of the pain and suffering that unnecessary. They already have the condition. They're already dealing with, being coping day to day. Sam talked about, the mortality rate. The mortality rate among this community is higher than any other, but it's not documented. It's not. Nothing is being said. It's like they're left to suffer in silence and to fight, and it's heartbreaking. It brings my heart bleeds. And I wish fellow brothers and sisters from all walks of life, because we are one. All lives matter, and we shouldn't have to feel like, we are second class citizens when it comes to, or this community, second class citizens when it comes to accessing basic health care. So I just say reach out to people, and anybody listening, if you want to help, please, we need your support, especially legal representation, because that's the only way we can challenge the system and challenge those persons who are oppressing this vulnerable community.
Fantastic. And at this point as well, I want to encourage individuals. I want to encourage NGOs. I want to encourage community members, local government, churches to, I think they should really visit your website. They should visit your social media page so that they can see exactly how they can, put a hand together to support you.
But we do have our members in our group, in our support group, like these two pictured here. They've given blood. If they were on the call today, they would have been able to answer that.
That's absolutely fine. But I think
information, they can email us at sicklecellcause@gmail.com, to ask any questions, no matter what the question is, email us and it'll be answered.
Perfect. And also, obviously, we are live. So all those who have any questions, please send them in. Even after the show, you feel like you want to call the numbers, please do so. And we have all the information there. Please get in touch. We want your support. We want to create awareness on this day, the 19th of June. Let it be an awareness day, a day we can educate ourselves, especially because, as you have seen, sickle cell affects mostly the sub-Saharan countries, we the blacks, so we really need us to come together so that we can tackle this issue together. Okay, before we close the program, I wanted to give the opportunity to Samantha. There's a lot of viewers watching, and there could be viewers who are suffering from the sickle cell. What word of encouragement would you want to give to someone watching?
Okay, being a sickle cell warrior myself, I know the tribulations, and we all have different symptoms, and it's very difficult to daily to live. All I can say is remain strong. We are warriors from birth, and although every day is a fight for personal survival, share that fight to include your peers. Share sickle cell promotions. I mean, today is a day of awareness and promotion. Attend the meetings. Most of them are online now. Sign petitions when you see them, and complete information capture forms, because this is how we're able to make improvements. I mean, we can't just sit down and be sick. We have to do something. Also take responsibility for your own health. Don't rely on others for your living standards. Take responsibility. Eat healthily to minimize pain attacks. Walk. Meditate. Drink lots of water and coconut water. Protect your mental well-being. Read positive literature. Minimize the television viewing. Things like that. Just like take personal responsibility of your sickle life. That's all I've got to say. And then let's just continue to fight. We've got to win. Simple.
Absolutely.
We're warriors.
Absolutely, and I like the way you've put your name on the Zoom. The warrior queen. I really love that. So that's very encouraging yourself, because you're a fighter, and I know that you're winning. You're definitely winning. So really, thank you both of you so much for this one.
I'd just like to say that first of all, World Sickle Cell Day was established by the United Nations and the General Assembly in 2008 in order to increase the awareness about sickle cell disorder. And its ambitions for a cure, amongst the public. And this was celebrated for the first time on June the 19th, 2009. So we're now 11 years old. So today we are working together across the world, individuals and groups are collectively working together, to share sickle cell awareness on this day, worldwide, and this pleases me so much so because it's but I can't forget the initial works, for community-based sickle cell awareness, which created the movement in UK and Europe when it officially began in 1975 by sickle cell warrior, Neville, who created the Organization of Sickle Cell Anemia Research. It's good to see that his legacy is still living on, 46 years later after conception, even if it's under the umbrella of different organizations. Sickle cell awareness is alive and well. We're doing the job in the community. We just need those that are in power now to recognize it and make some policies and laws that cannot be broken.
Absolutely. And also, in terms of future prospects, what do you want to achieve, or what do you want to see in the next 5 years, 10 years, and as the year go by? What do you really want to see that's been done or achieved?
I would like to see the sickle cell patient treated as 100% human being, not 3/5 of a human being, in medical establishments. I would like it to be recognized as a disability, as you would cystic fibrosis, cancer, any other illness, even invisible illnesses that every other person has, right? Sickle cell should be afforded the same. It is a lifelong condition. Patients suffer every day. It's worse than some conditions that, are recognized as a disability. And being recognized as a disability will enable people to have correct housing conditions, so they're not suffering. They'll be medically treated properly like a human being. They'll be in schools, the workplace. It needs to be recognized for what it is universally, and not swept under the carpet like it doesn't exist because it does.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, I would like to say all the information, if in case you need anything, please go to the website, go to the social media, all the information, as you can see, is on the screen. Get that phone call going, call that number, give blood, everybody. I want you to donate. Let us all support this great cause, because today, the 19th, is Awareness Day, and we want to all be educated so that we know how to deal with this situation of the sickle cell anemia. Today, I trust that everybody has been a little bit knowledgeable. You have got the information that you need. We need your help. We need the churches to be involved in this, because we, the Black people, yes, we do go to churches, but you'll find that a lot of people in churches may not have this information that we receive. And I'm also encouraging Samantha, I'm also encouraging Duchess to take this presentation to churches, to the NGOs, to various places, so that we can educate ourselves, so that also together we can give the support that this organization needs. So I'd like to thank all our viewers for watching this broadcast, and I trust that both Samantha and Duchess will come back again to just give us an update of what the organization is doing, because we want to see the help for this great cause extend more in the next 5 years, in the next 15 years, and we want to see sickle cell eradicated completely, I believe so. So again, thank you so much. Please visit the website, Google them, and if there's any information, please do feel free to send the email or call that number. So this is Richard Cunningham. Thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you so much for tuning. Bye-bye.
Todd. Yo. I'm Menelin and so are you, Don. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. Throwing up my black fist, feeling Huey Newton. If it ain't group economics, then what's your crew on? Never lacking, brother, I stay mobile. Still got Kit Kats ringing off the mobile. They never taught us black history in school, but it's cool. Come on, man, never raised no full-blooded free. My bros that got grabbed and got canned. Came up hungry, trying to grab what we can. Me and my brothers dodging Nino vans like Bun Babylon Don, we see your plan. Got a mind how I talk, cause I think like Guy Fawkes. Torch Parliament because they play us like sport. Blood red light, raw skin black light, tar. Green for the herb, someone pass a lighter. When I rap black power, them man think I'm seen out. They don't understand that I'm working with my pineal. I ain't like these youths, I don't do dance moves. Ancestors got my back, brother, I can't lose. On job, day and night, brother, I can't snooze. Rosa Parks told us stay strong, don't move. Right like Mama Maya, live like Dr. Sebi. Dash away the fast food and go on back a grassroots. Martin had a dream, Malcolm said by any means. When he said blood, I got run until they let Mandela free. Garvey lives, Garvey lives. Garvey lives, teach Garvey to the kids. Bun the FBI, bun the CIA, bun MI5 and bun the KKK. Yo, don't stress, Rome soon catch fire. No new world, it's our world. Columbus was a liar. Bun the FBI, bun the CIA, bun MI5 and bun the KKK. Yo, don't stress, Rome soon catch fire. No new world, it's our world. Columbus was a liar.